Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ash and this is going to be my BookTube and AuthorTube newbie tag. First up, let's start with our AuthorTube questions. The genre I write is fantasy, and I mostly stay within that realm. Whether it's paranormal, romantasy, epic, I like to stay in the fantasy realm. Actually, when I started out, I evolved to fan fiction, and I will take those stories with me to the grave. You'll never find them. Okay, they're very embarrassing. I almost don't want to tell you what fandoms I wrote for, but yes, they exist. My preferred writing tense is third person omniscient. I know that's really out of vogue these days because everyone seems to love first person, and I do too, but I tend to lean that way. I'm not opposed to first, but I tend to lean that way. You know, this is a crazy question because historically, I have always been a plotter. I would plot everything through and through down to the very last detail, and then I would write the story. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that has hindered me from actually completing anything, and I just get trapped in this continuous world building phase because I could world build till the cows come home, you know, like I will do that forever. But if I want something to get finished, then I need to move past my perfectionism and just kind of suspend my disbelief a little bit in order to get some of these things done. So I have actually learned to plot lightly and then circle back and pants my way through the story. And then I'll go back again a third time and I will plot. So it's like a plotter, pantser, plotter. It's like a plotter sandwich, you know? I am nothing yet. I've only written fan fiction. I hope to be a traditionally published author one day, but if that doesn't work, then I will definitely be self-publishing my works, but I am aiming for traditional. So we'll see how that goes. On my channel regarding to my writing content, you'll be taken on this journey with me. I hope to have you guys hold me accountable so I actually finish this, which is why I'm putting it on the internet. Because if you guys are expecting it, then there's no way I'm gonna fail because nothing keeps me going like spite and the weight of other people's expectations. So we'll do a lot of writing vlogs, and I plan to do a lot of study with me, write with me type of videos as well. I really enjoy those and they help me, stay focused, and I love doing writing sprints online. There's not a lot of channels that do that. Abby does that. I'll link her channel down below, and I think her playlists are so fantastic. So I hope to do something similar. I started writing when I was a little kid, but I was never really consistent with it. It would be off and on. I actually got started because I was in an English class in elementary, and we had a couple of creative writing assignments, and I actually did really well, so well that my teacher would always read my stories aloud to the class as an example of what people should be doing and writing when they're thinking of stories and what makes a story engaging. So that always made me feel like I could do it. And then I had a couple personal blogs on, I'm gonna age myself right now, but Live Journal and Zanga. Guys, Zanga. And actually Tumblr, and they had a pretty decent following, but I actually stopped writing, and this is what made me stop and give it up. But I stopped when I had falling out with a friend, and I had written like a fictionalized depiction of our fights, and they found it and then told everyone about it. And then I just felt, I don't know, when you're in a high school going into college, like you just have all these intense feelings, like everyone's judging you and thinking of you when really they're not thinking about you at all, maybe for 5 minutes. And I didn't know that. And so I just internalized that and decided to give up writing because I felt like my writing was hurting people for some reason. And it just caused a lot of drama too. It also was blown out of proportion over something really stupid, but it did cause a lot of unnecessary drama. So I ended up quit writing for a while. I ended up taking a creative writing class, a couple in college. And that sparked my curiosity again. But again, I never really fully went back into writing like I was until until I read a book at around 2019, 2020 that was so terrible, and I just could not believe that they got traditionally published. And I was like, this is dribble. I could do so much better than this, because I'm not the best public speaker. I actually used to have a stutter when I was younger, and I only studied communications and public relations in school because I did it as a way to help get over my fear talking in front of other people and get rid of my stutter, which I did. So I pursued a career in that. But I always feel like I am much better with the written word. I'm better with a pen than I am talking to people like this. So I trip over my words a lot. I say the wrong thing, but give me a pen and I got it, because I can emote better that way. The first story I ever wrote was in elementary school. It was about this time it was actually a true story, but a time that my friends and I kicked a ball over our neighbor's fence. It was actually my friend's neighbor's fence, who had two mean Rottweilers, and it's just all about the adventures of getting that ball back over the fence and how we almost died by getting attacked by these dogs. So that was my first story. But if you talk about my first fan fiction story, again, I taking that story to my grave because it was really embarrassing. Just think about any popular thing that was going on in the 90s, and I definitely wrote about it, and it's just hell of embarrassing. Okay, you'll never find out what it's about. Oh, authors. That's a tough one, because so many different authors have inspired me in different ways. If we're talking about magic and world building and all that kind of thing, Tracy Deonn, Brandon Sanderson. If we're talking about just purely like me being into the story because of how beautiful this person's prose is and how beautifully they string words together and make you think critically about common things in this magical world, but really it's much grander once you dive into it. R.F. Kuang, V. Schwab. And if we're talking more like romantic stories, right? Because every plots have been done before. There's nothing truly new anymore. But if we're just talking about the characters and the fantasy world that they're in, let's see. There's definitely Carissa Broadbent has been really pivotal in me deciding that I wanted to write a few romantic stories. This is totally not in that same realm, but I'm obsessed with Ready Player One and Ready Player Two, the books. It does remind me a lot of Sword Art Online. It's almost one for one. And those two creators have talked about how their stories are so similar. Whether one got inspired by the other or vice versa, I don't really know. But all I know is I love both, and they have inspired me a bunch. Oh, and I almost didn't mention this, but of course, Lord of the Rings. Duh. Like Tolkien, yes. Some of his writing comes across very dry, but it doesn't mean that his world building, his characters aren't beautifully crafted and done. What am I most looking forward to now that I'm a part of AuthorTube? Writing is such a solitary thing, and it's hard to share yourself openly with other people, so they could basically tear you apart, obviously for the better, because they tear you down to build you up. If anyone's ever taken an art class, you know that. But I do feel lonely in it sometimes. I do lose motivation. So I'm most looking forward to making connections and friends with other writers, where maybe we could give each other feedback and keep each other going, keep positive messages going. And yeah, just I need someone to champion me the way I champion other people. So, okay, now on to my BookTube. Why did I start a BookTube? Well, as we know, BookTok got banned for a little bit and then it came back. And unfortunately, I had been very dramatic and deleted TikTok off my phone because I was like, if I can't have it, if I can't log in, then I'm just going to delete it. Get it out of here. And lo and behold, it came back a few hours later. I was pissed. But actually, it's fine because I had fallen out of love a little bit with Book Talk before that. I felt like I was trying so hard and getting no engagements. I just felt honestly drained from having to constantly make content and think of new ideas. People are really intimidated by long form content, and I am and was too for a very long time, but at least I could focus on one idea a week and make it truly interesting and dissect any things I want to talk about that certain topic. It's just TikTok and other short form type of platforms, you just constantly have to churn out and think of ideas and be ahead of the curve, and it was draining me, and I just didn't want to make content anymore. So I was actually kind of drawing inward and writing more because I just didn't feel like using all the energy on constantly churning out videos for them to get 5 views. So I came over to BookTube. I had been wanting to start a BookTube for a long time. I actually tried to make one before. It didn't really work because I was so intimidated by it. It was my first time doing content creation and I had no idea what I was doing. I was trying to figure out Final Cut Pro and all these other things, and eventually I just gave up because I'm like, this isn't good enough. So I didn't try, which that is a failing on my part. Wish I had started much sooner. I feel like this is a good place to start a home, connect with other creators on this platform, many of which have been on Book Talk, or a lot of Book Talk people are crossing over. So I just hope to grow with community here and talk about the things I like. What do I bring to BookTube? My crippling self-doubt, my ADHD brain, me constantly referring to memes and pop culture references and musicals all the time because no one else is chronically online as I am. So yeah. I've already talked about this, but what I am most excited about is just connecting with more book friends that are into this kind of things that I'm into, and let's just be nerds together. And eventually, meet up in real life and maybe go to a book ball. It's always been one of my dreams to go to these book balls and dress up like a fairy and just have a beautiful crown on all weekend and a dress and just be young and dumb. That's all I really want in this life. So some of the hardest challenges to overcome with BookTube, honestly, it's just not getting discouraged by how slow a growth that you're experiencing. Everyone knows that YouTube is a long game. It may not be great at first, but eventually the community, the subscribers, all of that will come. But it's gonna be really hard not to get that instant gratification because on TikTok a video can go viral in literally an hour. YouTube, maybe in a week I'll get 50 views. So it's just going to be staying strong and not getting discouraged and giving up, because I tend to do that sometimes, but I am staying strong this time. I started reading in elementary school. Again, my English teacher, she actually made us read Harry Potter in class way before that series got banned. But I had actually, I wasn't a big reader at the time. I actually hated reading because I had a vivid memory of my mom yelling at me at the dinner table because I couldn't read properly. I had a lot of difficulty getting there, okay? And I remember her yelling at me about reading Green Eggs and Ham. I wasn't allowed to get up from the table until I read the whole book through, and I was just struggling so hard. So I hated it, okay? And then when I got to elementary and we started reading Harry Potter, it took me until about halfway through the book to really get it and capture what was happening, and I was obsessed. We had quizzes on it, we did little essays on it, and let's say I was top of the class on that one because I was very interested. And so she actually sparked my interest in reading in general, and from there, I believe it was actually my grandfather, he realized I was becoming a little bit of a reader and started introducing Lord of the Rings to me, and that was kind of our activity together, so thank you to him for introducing that to me because it's one of my favorite stories to this day. And actually, we went to go see the movie together when it first came out in theaters, and not even 10 minutes into it, he fell asleep. But I was completely hooked and actually so mad because I didn't realize it was going to be 3 movies. But I was obsessed after that. And ever since then, I've been chasing that high and trying to find other stories that make me feel the way those stories made me feel. So yeah, and actually, I think there was a time at a bookstore when I was really lost and looking in the YA section, and it was around high school, and I was trying to figure out what to read next. And this girl saw me struggling, and bless her soul, she came over to me and offered Twilight to me as an option. And I was like, "Thank you, mysterious angel, for making me obsessed with this," which also became my entire personality throughout high school and and college. So yeah. But if you were to ask me now what kind of stories I'm into anything with a powerful FMC, anything with a lot of world building that feels unique and interesting. I love people that have these magical powers that they're trying to figure out how to wield and grow. I love trials, as long as they seem interesting, okay? And not a carbon copy of the Hunger Games. I'm talking about something new and interesting. I love epic battles and politics and all of that. I love politicking. Let's get more of that. You know, I kind of oscillate between wanting something light and fluffy and something kind of dumb to wanting something heavy and is super thought-provoking and all those things. So I'm kind of whatever mood I'm feeling, and I am a true mood reader. So I kind of read wherever. We just moved into a new house, and we went from a townhouse to a 4-bedroom house, and we don't have enough furniture to fill all the spaces. So everything is kind of spaced out and sporadic right now. Like my office is and the kids' room are 2 of the most done up places. Other than that, it's kind of white and bare. So we are working on it right now. As you know, furnishing a house is very expensive. So this is going to take some time. So right now it's kind of in this chair, in my bed, in the shower, when I listen to an audiobook, on the floor, like where sometimes I go into the kids' little hut tent thing and I will read in there just wherever I feel like it and it's comfortable and I can get some peace and quiet. We're on the subject, so I don't really have a place to put my books right now. As you see, they're kind of scattered all over. They're on the floor, they're on my bedside, they're in a basket somewhere, like they're kind of all over. I actually have this big, beautiful wall in our rec room, and I can't wait to build a big bookshelf display that I'm gonna put a sliding ladder on, like all the girlies. I have been dreaming about that all my life. And so I cannot wait for that to be me, essentially. But I live in the middle of nowhere. I live in a resort mountain town, and the closest IKEA is 9 hours away in Seattle. And if I was to go over the border, the closest IKEA is 5 hours away. I'm an hour away from the border here because I'm in Montana, and I'm an hour away from Canada, but the closest IKEA is still 5 hours away. So yeah, it's a journey. And I did have someone come out here and check what it would cost if I was to do some customized shelves, and it's going to be really expensive, and I'm not doing that. So I'm going to have to do that Billy bookcase thing essentially when I'm able to get the product shipped to me, because also shipping from IKEA, you think it's going to be cheap? No, it's so expensive. It's almost more damn expensive than my order. So I have to do that when I feel like splurging and spending the money, and then I'll work it out. Until then, they're just going to be on the floor, because I also don't want to just buy something for a quick fix. You know, I'm very much I will invest the time and money, but and take my time. I don't need to rush for what? I don't want to invest in some cheap bookshelves I know I'm going to hate, and then I'm going to have to spend more money to get what I want anyways. So I might as well just wait. And my last question, what does my book collection look like? Well, I feel like I already answered that. This is what it is. Yeah, so pray for me that I will get my bookshelves of my dreams sometime soon. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in and learning more about me. It feels kind of weird talking about myself, because in my day job, in my profession, I tend to champion other people and always promote other people's works. I never really promote myself or pour that energy into me. So it feels kind of weird and awkward, but I am learning to take up space. Okay, I'm holding space for that. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you in my Write With Me session. Until then, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for updates and more videos, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!